Governors of all the 10 regions of Cameroon began meeting today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, and in the meeting chaired by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, they have been discussing priority issues concerning security during the twin polls scheduled for the month of February 2020. In this newscast, we shall be traveling you to the central region of the country and that aside, as the situation in the north and southwest regions of the country escalates, we have a lot more of internally displaced persons dispatched in all the 10 regions of the country, notably in the littoral region of the country. In this newscast, we shall take you to visit a family which has become a somewhat global village. Good evening and welcome on this other edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. And like we told you on the top stories, we shall be taking you to the central region of the country with this images and brief to tell you a lot more about this conclave of ministers. These ministers coming from the 10 regions of the country, would say the governors of all the 10 regions of Cameroon, who began a meeting rather today in their first semester meeting in Yaoundé, chaired by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji. The focal point and course of the meeting, which is being participated by governors of the 10 region, is on security aspects and challenges and course of the twin February legislative and municipal polls scheduled for the 9th of February across the 10 regions of Cameroon, a pertinent situation which schedules a lot more of priority on the discussion table of the three major troubled regions of the country, that is the far north, the northwest, and the southwest regions of Cameroon. And back on set, like we told you, as the ministers or the governors brainstorm back there in Yaoundé, Minister Paul Tanganji, Minister of Territorial Administration, hit a lot more of precisions regarding the security aspect, which is of great priority with elections Cameroon. He speaks on the mic of Equinoxe Television.
As we all know, the security context in some regions of the country is peculiar. In my capacity as the agent of the government in the electoral process, it is incumbent on the Minister of Territorial Administration through administrative authorities to provide ELECAM with appropriate security measures during the anxiously awaited February 9 elections. In fact, the head of state's directives are very clear. Elections must take place in all over the national territory. That is, in all the 10 regions, 58 divisions, and 360 subdivisions. And this should be in complete safety and serenity. On the 31st of December 2019, the head of state was formal on this, and I quote, "Security measures have been put in place for all citizens to be able to exercise their right to vote all over the territory. These measures shall be reinforced if need be," end of quote. Despite the wayward attitude of some political leaders who advocate boycott of the twin elections, the state respects their choice because we are in a democratic society where people are free to choose whether to participate or not in elections. What we can never accept or tolerate are statements like, "I will not participate in the elections, and I will do everything possible to stop other Cameroonians from exercising their civic rights." That is when the state will display its might against whosoever shall attempt to create disorder before, during, and after the twin elections. Regardless of their social status, troublemakers shall be dealt with firmly and squarely in accordance with the laws of the Republic. I would like to ensure the national and international opinion that, according to reports received from regional governors, those calling for elections boycott are not even up to 0.0075% of the national electorate. It is therefore clear that the majority of Cameroonians will massively take part in the February 9 polls in response to President Paul Biya's December 31 call. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two main choices we make in life the choice to build or the choice to destroy, the choice to serve God or the choice to serve the devil. Those who choose destruction, hatred, misinformation, and conspiracy against Republican institutions have chosen to serve Satan and will end up sooner or later crying, had I known. On the other hand, those who participate in nation building and respect Republican institutions have chosen to work for the Almighty and will receive recognition from the state and from God.
Minister Paulo Tanganji of Territorial Administration on the governors' meeting, which kicked off today in the central region of the country, precisely in Yaoundé. And we talk something else this in line with the political atmosphere in the country. We take you to the southwestern region of the country, where members of the Southwestern Northwest Task Force have on your part revealed that parties involved in the Anglophone crisis would see rather taking steps to obstruct the polls this February 2020. They were speaking in course of a meeting in Limbe. We have details with our correspondent, Derek Jato.
The war in the Anglophone regions, its consequences on the population. Then, the birth of the Southwest Northwest Task Force, SNOT, with its mission to mediate in the conflict for peace. Madam Jomo Esther Omam bore and gave birth to this movement, and today she is the honorary president.
And the aim of creating SNOT was to significantly contribute in ending the crisis, that is women bringing their own voices, on the table.
Flipping back on where they have been and what they have done, SNOT members say because of their strives, the power that be heard their cry for dialogue, and something was done in that direction. But the situation is still disturbing. The war is still there. Reason why meeting in Limbe recently, SNOT members call for backup. Men who are peace crusaders must come on board for them as a team to push the peace mission to the next level. And invited was Barrister Agbo Bala Felix, the founder of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa.
If you ask me, if they were to create a Truth and Reconciliation and Justice Commission, I would like a woman to head that commission, because they have a way of finding solutions to problems. They have a way when there is tension amongst men who are the causes or the cause of most of the conflicts.
But actors on the ground, those who they refer to as the people who brought the war on them, are instead beating drums of escalation.
We fear an escalation in the conflict following the declarations of the all-powerful conflict people, that we think that the political ideology and the power sharing within the conflict is putting women, children, people living with disabilities and the elderly at risk, because there is a lot of declarations of threat and power that we fear an escalation in the conflict.
Madam Salim Mafochi, SNOT General Coordinator, also declared the stand of SNOT in the midst of this uncertainty.
This year is a year that will need a lot from us to be able to continue lobbying and calling for a ceasefire and proposing to the parties involved that no matter what your stand is, peaceful resolution of conflict remains the best.
The Southwest Northwest Task Force also drew lessons of some of their actions in the past and ironed out some lapses for a better 2020.
Not for peace.
And as the crisis escalates in the southwest region of the country, workers and inhabitants of Bamusau Council in the Dian division of the southwest region of the country say they won't work unless they are being paid the 19th month's unpaid salary. They have closed the Dian Council as they demand for their salaries. We stay with you, Derek Jato, for more details.
Some workers of the Bamusau Council are shutting down all activities of the council.
The workers are angry. No work from today. No work.
Bamusau is a subdivision in Dian division of the southwest region of Cameroon. And these workers say their action is because they have not been paid for 19 months now.
Presently now, the workers have come out very angry, out of patience, that they have been for 19 months. They have been patient for 19 months without salary. We don't know, we the workers...
And to James Nukorikina, the staff delegate, Bamusau Council has all it takes to pay its workers.
We don't know the reason why workers are not paid and money is flowing in the council.
Sealing the doors of the council, taking out the council booth from the waters and turning them upside down, and moving around town to express their frustration. These Bamuso workers say they can't feed their families, reason why they are calling on the government to intervene.
We are crying to the Cameroon government to help us as prodigal children. We are dying of hunger here.
I really appreciate it.
Acknowledging their effort, Madam Ben Grace, Mayor of the Bamuso Council, begged these council workers to exercise a little patience.
I'm still with them, and I'll still continue to be with them because it is their right. But I'm just appealing that they should keep calm. Things are not easy these days in Cameroon all over. Then what more of us, whose internal revenue per month is not up to 2 million francs.
But condemned the sealing and halting of all council activities, for it is against that same law they are calling to intervene.
So they should come back to work. They should still stay calm.
And that measures are being taken on how to raise funds for their salaries to be paid, for the council coffers are empty because of misappropriation and the impact of the Anglophone crisis.
If we did not have that shortage of 2016 with the former treasurer, I believe we wouldn't have died into this type of situation. That notwithstanding, I appreciate their patience and they should also be calm. We are still working on it.
At press time, the Bamuso Council was yet to open its doors or carry out any outdoor activity because of the strike action.
Like we told you on our top stories, the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwestern regions of the country hasn't only destroyed infrastructures, but it has enabled and even pushed out so many inhabitants in these respective regions as they move in search of safety. It is the case with this family we shall be taking you to visit. We are in the littoral region of the country, precisely in the city of Douala, where a family has become a global village. Innocent Aze leads us into this home.
Chief Dr. Joseph Mufo hails from Santa Subdivision, Mesam Division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. He now resides in Makepe Misoke in the Douala 5 municipality. He is hosting over 300 internally displaced persons from the two English-speaking regions.
Today, the list I transferred to the GO of Douala 5, it was 314, but others have added. I transferred the same list equally to the Minister of Territorial Administrations with a letter. I equally wrote a letter to the head of state.
They sleep everywhere in the compound.
Les déplacés habitent ici, ils habitent ici, et d'autres dorment ici à la cour.
The house condition is not really favorable with us. We live in a carabout house. With mosquito, the condition has not really been easy with us. We pay 15,000 francs per month, but at the end of the month, we are even unable to pay the rent.
Feeding condition is horrible.
All my small they won't come out. They day now, even for chop. They are the final to feed them in no day.
A difficult moment for us to live where we were living and coming to a strange land. It has really not been easy with us.
Access to medication is equally a big challenge.
So one day they will come out for a skin, or you food them. So one day they not even work.
She struggles to raise money and send her younger ones to school, but nothing seems to be moving.
We know they, so I cry.
We are people living with disability. I am my husband. My husband is he manufactures shoes. Arriving here in Douala, it was not really easy. He's really feeling difficulties to make himself being known to the world because of lack of capital.
To survive, they engage in petty trades and other domestic income-fetching activities.
As you can see, in short, I can say I'm a designer of shoes, but I left Bamenda unexpectedly. So I came here, I was just struggling, working with people left and right.
It's just about 4 months ago, which I have a small place where I can sit and do something. Although it's not going, due to lack of finances left and right, I'm unable to succeed.
While wishing government's intervention, the impact created by Équinoxe Television during end-of-year festivities is applauded.
Had it not been Equinoxe, they could have not even enjoyed Xmas. They came here with cloth, they came here with food, with rice, with all kinds of things, oil soup, in order to rescue them, so that they should at least feel happy in order to end the year of 2019.
They battle to cope with the deplorable living conditions, but get more and more prayerful. The armed conflict ends for their possible return to their respective localities in the northwest and southwest regions.
While others are in search of safety in other safer regions of the country, in the northwest region of Cameroon, precisely, we have a locals back there who say they are fed up of the harassment vis-a-vis the separatist fighters. And it is the case as innocent as they once again present to us via this report the recent attacks meted on the local community. He says they are fed up.
To the numerous arson attacks on the Social Democratic Front Party, including its national chairman, members of parliament, councillors and mayors, Nijon Funzi questioned curiously why targets of the Anglophone crisis is the SDF party, which has fought for true democracy and peaceful Cameroon.
I asked, it was the Anglophone issue targeted on the SDF that they think that they should do all this on the SDF. It is not fair.
Few days after this, the attackers turned to the ruling CPDM party. One of its militants, Archer Kennedy, saw his home in Batabo subdivision in Momo division being consumed by flames. It is reported the CPDM bigwig is gunning for a place in the municipal election next month. Nijon Funzi had said the attack on his party was masterminded, certainly by the CPDM youth wing, for the triumph of their party over the SDF in the northwest region.
I keep repeating that these youths are wise CPDM youths who want to fight the SDF and destroy the SDF.
With the burning of the CPDM militants' residence over the weekend, commentators question if the SDF chairman will still point accusing finger at the wise CPDM. Another development in the northwest region is the resurface of Amazonian fighters in Balikumbat in the Ngokitunja division after some youth, allegedly under the influence of some elites, mobilized and demonstrated against presence and activities of Amba fighters. They said they were protesting against excesses from Amazonian fighters in their area. According to reports, this was on January 2nd, 2020, under the guidance of the Cameroonian military. The angry youths accused the restoration forces of setting up numerous checkpoints where they forcefully collect community support from locals despite the hardship. Reports say they had given an ultimatum to the Amba boys, cautioning them against carrying out controls in the quarter. The separatist fighters responded to the ultimatum this after by laying hands on some of the youths in this amateur video. They are being beaten up, also intimidated to reverse their statements. Amba must stay in Balikumbat, form of torture meted civilians condemned by national and international rights groups. The head of state, Paul Biya, in his end-of-year speech, had reiterated that separatist fighters drop down their arms and embrace normal life or be ready to face the state's military. While some lay down their arms, others are adamant to get what they say rightfully belongs to them.
And the people say they aren't ready to welcome such incidents which exposes them to unsafety. In the northwest region of the country recently, we had this precision with you, Innocent, as taking us to Bali Combat in the northwest region of Cameroon. And we talk something else in this newscast. 2 persons are currently lying on hospital beds in Makenene, all for the center region, and another at the Lakentini Hospital here in Douala in the littoral region of the country. These 2 separate accidents would recall that occurred over the weekend in the west littoral regions, respectively. We have details with you, Smart Ajikan Gabriel.
The cry of a mother touched by the horrible accident in which her son was involved. We are at the National Road number 4, 1 kilometer to Makenene, where a commercial bike rider was badly injured by a car. According to witness account, the bike rider was passing within several cars when his bike got stuck to a 70-seater bus. The leg of one of the passengers on the motorcycle was cut off, while the bike rider was badly injured. Though all 3 have been transferred to the hospital, it is feared that the woman whose leg cut off won't survive because her state is more severe. In Douala at Ancien Dalib, it was a car that was destroyed by some angry bike riders after a head-on collision between the car and a commercial motorcycle. On the spot information say the vehicle struggled to dodge away from touching the motorcycle, but seemingly the bike rider had another aim. After the accident, which left 1 person injured, some bike riders came to damage the car, and they have to face off with some street youth who intervened before the arrival of the Mobile Intervention Police Unit, Jamie 2. The injured person was taken to the emergency unit of Lakentini Hospital, while security forces go in search for the bike rider who is on the run.
From one region to another, we take you to the west region of Cameroon, where back the locals of the Kundum village we are in the Nun division of the west region see they lack some social amenities and facilities. One of your greatest need assets now is a portable water site, as you tell us, Immaculate Fogwe.
It is from this doubtful source that persons living in the Gundum neighborhood in the Nun division west region of Cameroon quench their thirst. Due to the unavailability of clean water, most of the inhabitants of Gundum are threatened with waterborne diseases. Residents have to cover several kilometers in search of alternative source of water which may not be fit for drinking. We have always been fetching water from this source. We have no other choice. I have covered several kilometers in search of the precious liquid. We have been suffering like this for over 35 years. In a bid to address the problem of lack of potable water in the neighborhood, the Village Development Committee has constructed a potable water point, a gesture appreciated by local inhabitants. Works were completed 2 months ago. The population is thanking the administration for their efforts. It's not every day that a locality benefits from such public financing. Even with the newly constructed potable water point, the challenges of Ngundum villages are far from being over, as the area is always congested given the high number of persons who fetch water from there. Their cry is for the government to provide other potable water points in the area.
That does it for this pack of the news, but we end with this information giving us sports details. In a brief, we shall be taking you to the central region of the country where the Confederation of African Football Inspection Team is in Cameroon once more to inspect infrastructure earmarked for the 6th edition of the African Nations Championship CHAN 2020. We recall the delegation is presently in Yaoundé to exchange with the local organizing committee of the Total CHAN 2020 and Total African Cup of Nations at 2021 on a 3-day field inspection session. The delegation will evaluate the effective completion of work in Yaoundé, Douala, Bafoussam and Agawa in the north region of the country. This will be done under the supervision of the Minister of Sport and Physical Education, Professor Nasser Smuela Kombi. And that does it for this pack of the news on Equinoxe Television. Thanks once more for watching. We'll meet you tomorrow, same time, same vessel. Have a lovely evening.